I'm Ben Meyer.
And I'm Rob Wright.
And this week we're covering gaming's biggest disasters. Yes, that is right. The people, the hardware, the games that have really done a disservice to the gaming industry. So we had a lot of things we could have chosen for this.
A lot of blights on the industry, yes.
Yes, some big disasters. But why don't you give us our first one?
I'm going to start with arguably probably the best known example on the list. Arguably one of the worst games ever made. The 1982 Atari 2600 title, E.T. the Game. Wow. Now, there are other examples of bad games, but I don't think many of them could be taken as a sign of the video game apocalypse, like could actually trigger the 1983 video game crash. I don't think many titles could actually claim that.
No.
E.T. can. E.T., the movie, big blockbuster, summer of 82, biggest movie of all time at that time, okay? Huge moneymaker.
Yes.
Atari goes to Universal and Steven Spielberg says, I want to make a video game based on this movie. We got to have a video game for the Atari 2600. They wanted it so bad that they paid more than $20 million for the rights to make the E.T. game. $20 million in 1982.
That's big money.
Unheard of. So they overpaid for the rights to make the title. They rushed the title into production. Big surprise, because they wanted to get it before the holiday season, around Thanksgiving. So Atari only had like 4 months to produce the title. They made it into kind of like a Pac-Man game, with E.T. running around the map, falling into holes, falling down wells, trying to find phone parts to phone home, and looking for Reese's Pieces. Why are they looking for Reese's Pieces?
Product placement.
Product placement. Shameless product time. Lame. Now, the game got rushed in. Wasn't very good. In fact, it was crap. Now, but they thought it was going to be a huge seller, so they produced, millions and millions and millions of cartridges for the Atari 2600. Shipped them out to retailers. No one bought the game. It was crap. They sent the cartridges back to Atari. They said, we don't want this game. Atari said, we don't have any places to put these games. So what did they do?
Landfill.
Loaded them up, shipped them out to New Mexico in the desert, built a landfill, dug up a giant hole in the earth, dumped all the cartridges in. Now, I'm sure you've heard this as like urban legend. It's the truth.
It's the truth.
They took a bunch of Atari 2600 underperforming games that they didn't have shelf space for anymore, E.T. being the big one, dumped them in.
Dumped them in. They were worthless to them. And, there's that band, Wintergreen.
Yes.
They have a video out. Maybe our video producer guy will find this one. And the music video, and the music doesn't have anything to do with E.T., but they found the site and dug up the games and had like this huge stack of these old E.T. games, and were able to
just sitting there. So if you want to play one, you could probably find one.
Find one out there.
Landfill. So.
Moving along.
Yes.
Next title for our biggest disaster is not a game title. It is a piece of hardware.
Would you call it a console?
It would be a console. Yeah.
I guess it would. Yeah.
It was the Nintendo Virtual Boy.
Oh.
Came out mid-90s. A lot of people had thought the Power Glove was a big disaster, but that had some fans. It has like kind of a cult.
Had the Wizard, the movie.
It had the Wizard.
Red Savage movie.
And but the Virtual Boy, it sold almost 800,000 units, but I'm guessing that was mostly Japan because it only had about 20 titles here, and it just was just a crazy piece of machinery. It was like one of those Viewmasters, and you stuck your head in, and it had these moving pixels and red and blue LEDs that created kind of this 3D effect, but it didn't quite work, and it made you like sick to your stomach, I think, after about a half an hour. They even recommended that you don't play it for very long without.
I couldn't play it.
And it wasn't truly portable. It was kind of portable.
You had to sit it on a table.
It had to be still, though, because the moving back and forth sensors would get all effed up.
So it wasn't really 3D. Wasn't really portable.
No.
Didn't have many games.
True.
That's a recipe for disaster. And you know what's sad, Ben? This invention was one of the last projects. It was the last project for a long-time Nintendo designer, one of the great minds in Nintendo, Gunpei Yokoi, who created the Game Boy and was a longtime Metroid producer. I mean, he's really one of the great creative minds at Nintendo. And sadly, this was his last project at Nintendo. He was forced to resign, and he tragically died a short time later. It's really too bad. So.
That's a bummer.
Yeah,
but it really was kind of a bummer.
It was a piece of junk. But all right, next item on the list. On a happier note, well, not really, but on the theme of fallen stars, let's say. We turn our attention to John Romero. And Daikatana, the hallowed title that John Romero began working on after he left id Software and formed Iron Storm.
Right.
So left id Software, said, I'm going to make a game on my own that's going to be better than Quake. It's going to be better than Doom. It's going to be better than Wolfenstein. It's going to be the best FPS,
The best ever.
out there. Okay, so he says it's going to have superior graphics and it's going to have advanced AI, the likes of which you've never seen before. There was just one problem.
They rushed it.
They rushed it, and it didn't work very well. The AI was crap. The graphics were pretty weak too. In fact, the graphics, every time they showed it at E3 in the late 90s, the graphics were a little bit more out of date. And it got to the point where Ironstorm and Romero basically said, we've got to tear the thing up and start anew. And Romero was forced to go kind of with his tail between his legs back to the drawing board with the Quake 2 engine from his former employer, id Software.
I mean, they completely demoralized the development staff. I think all of them quit at one point.
It was a mess.
Took 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, was met with mostly discouraging reviews and
negative.
Didn't sell particularly well.
Negative feedback from gamers. It was, and you know what a big part of that was? It wasn't just that the game wasn't very good. It was the fact that the game was so overhyped. And, Romero kind of being a rock star at that time, they were running those advertisements. John Romero is about to make you his bitch. Suck it down.
Yeah. Well, when you're racing Ferraris and stuff, that's kind of like, you kind of feel like you got that kind of juice.
A little too big
I
of
think
a head.
I think the word is hubris.
Hubris.
I think that's the word.
But, Daytona became the classic example of a game that was way overhyped and failed to deliver on any of its promises.
Well, another product that actually wasn't that overhyped. I mean, I don't think I hadn't even heard of it at the time, but it was Apple's Pippin as a gaming disaster. Now, it was technically a multimedia console. In the mid-90s, it played CD-ROMs, it had an internet connection, but it was really marketed by Apple and the producers, Bandai, as a gaming platform to compete with the PS1 and also the upcoming Nintendo 64 at the time. Big problem with it, though. One major sticking point. It cost $600 in 1995. $600.
Twice the price of a PS1.
Yes, not going to do very well with that price point. And, they couldn't get a lot of people on board to support it, so they didn't get a lot of games. And you know what? Sold, I think, 50,000.
Oh.
And then they dropped it after a year.
I mean, it was just such a strange product. It's basically a Macintosh that doesn't play PC games. And they really only had one company supporting it in Bandai, which was manufacturing the thing. So they had no games. But hey, jobs came back year later after they discontinued it.
And things took off.
Yes. All right, so we're here at our last entry on the list, and before we get into it, we just want to say we've had a lot of ideas. There are a lot of disasters out there.
Sure.
If you have any other suggestions, please let us know. We'd like to revisit this topic and do additional gaming disasters.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yes, I love talking about the bad stuff. The last entry, kind of a dark horse, bit of a surprise. Drum roll, please. It is Uwe Boll. Uwe Boll, the director, the German movie director. And you're probably saying to yourself, why Uwe Boll? What does that have to do with video games? He's a movie guy. He's a director. He makes movies. Well, he makes video game movies, and he makes them bad. Yeah. And not just bad. I mean, you can make a bad movie. Showgirls is bad. I can watch it. It's enjoyable. You make a movie so bad it's good. You can do that. He doesn't. These movies are terrible. Now, he's done adaptations of Blood Rain, done 2, Blood Rain 1 and 2, starring Ben Kingsley. What the hell is that?
Gandhi? Really?
Gandhi? Schindler's List? Blood Rain? What? Dungeon Siege? Really? You had to go there? With Burt Reynolds, Jason Statham, and Ray Liotta? Kind of a weird cast I don't really see in a high fantasy game. Alone in the Dark, our modern day classic with Tara Reid and Christian Slater.
Party. That was party going on.
Wow. Now, he's made these movies. They're terrible. They're awful. And for all you Far Cry fans out there, he made a Far Cry movie. It's not out yet, but I just, if you've seen any footage of it online, then you know it's going to be bad. Please protect yourselves. Now, he's making another Alone in the Dark. He's making another Blood Rain. And he set his sights on other, bigger, more popular video games. Metal Gear Solid, World of Warcraft. Thank God Konami and Blizzard have turned him down and said, no way, we're selling you the rights to our
That would
games.
truly push him up the list on greatest video game disasters.
Oh, I mean, he would surpass E.T. But I mean, the thing is, like, he wants to be like the video game movie director. He's trying to get as many properties as he can. Now, some fans, some anti-fans, which I guess you would call haters, are trying to stop Uwe Boll, and they have an online petition, and they are trying to get enough people to sign it so that he will stop making movies. Uwe Boll has said, I'm going to stop making movies if 1 million people sign this petition.
Long way to go, guys. We only got 300,000.
We only have 300,000 people. We only have 300,000. We've got work to do. I mean, do you really want to see a Quake movie from Uwe Boll? Maybe you can put John Romero in it. You can do a Daikatana movie.
That would be quite awful.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
That's all the time we have for this week. I'm Ben Meyer.
And I'm Rob Wright.
And we'll see you next time. He should do an E.T. movie about the game.
Extraterrestrial. Pronounce these with me so you don't screw them up.
The Extraterrestrial. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. And Uwe should do a movie about the video game. About the movie.
What are you talking about?